Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
All right, we are rolling into week 7 of college football and podcast 46-18. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neil. You can tweet us at the Odds Breakers, or you can just tweet me at the Public Dog. We are sponsored by mybookie.ag. Please use the promo code TheOddsBreakers if you are looking for a sports book, and they will give you a 100% sign-up bonus. Terms and conditions apply. There's also reload bonuses available. If you'd like to help us out with our costs, we would love to help you out. Become a patron subscriber by visiting theoddsbreakers.com, and we will make you an Oddsbreakers member, and it'll give you access to the podcast and many times before the public, as well as our premium picks emailed to you when we make the picks. Don't risk the line moves. If nothing else, become a free picks newsletter subscriber at theoddsbreakers.com. Jeremy's been sending out hockey plays. He's been absolutely killing it. So if you are into hockey, it is a must follow on our newsletter. And you definitely will learn a little bit about it and how to bet it. So we have a great show for you today. A little bit of a condensed show. I'm actually going solo today due to being in Buffalo, starting the week a little late, and it was well worth it, guys. If you like NFL football, you have to check out a Buffalo Bills game for just the experience alone. The old school feel to it, old Midwest town, parking lot like it was in the 60s. Stadium, it's not highly commercialized, but it's absolutely adequate and actually a lot nicer than I expected. Beautiful stadium, just how I wanted it. No flashy cowboy Jerry's World type thing. Just a hardcore football fans and an excited crowd and a great place to be. I gotta tell you, I was extremely impressed with those guys out in Buffalo. But without further ado, let's get into some college and then some NFL football picks and plays. So if you have any questions about these plays, feel free to tweet me at the Public Dog, and we can go over them. Or if you want to break down a game, go ahead and tweet us at the Odds Breakers. One of our members had a question for us. Brian Gibson wanted to talk a little bit about the Penn State versus Michigan State game, as well as the Wisconsin versus Michigan game. So we talk about Wisconsin a little bit later. I'll quick get into the Michigan State versus Penn State at Penn State game. So, if you look at these teams, their defenses are pretty close. Michigan State ranks, I think, best against the run in the whole NCAA at 1.32 yards. Not so much against the pass, but they're still at 4.87 yards per game. But they haven't really played that much of a schedule, right? They played, Arizona State, which is pretty good. Utah State, which is a lot better than we expected, and they actually got better. I would wonder if they would beat Michigan State if they played them again. They played Indiana and Central Michigan, and then lost to Northwestern. So they lost to Arizona State a night game and lost to Northwestern. Michigan State is a pretty good team, but they're definitely not elite. Michigan State only averages 5.49 yards per play. Well, that's not bad. It's not terrible. 3.4 yards per run. They're not completely terrible there, but as far as Penn State, if you're comparing them to Penn State played a harder schedule. They've played Ohio State. They played Pittsburgh. I guess Pittsburgh's as good as Indiana, but Appalachian State is a great team, probably a little bit better than Utah State or close. But, they played Ohio State, right? And Ohio State's a lot better than Arizona State. And Penn State averages 7.08 yards per play. 4.73 on defense, but 7.08 yards played. That's pretty big. 6 yards per run, 152 passer rating. Penn State is they're that's why they're second in my power ratings. I have them at a 20. That if you look at like 3 plays per 10 yards for a first down, that's 4.5 yards longer in 3 plays than Penn State or than Michigan State gets. Okay, that's a pretty big difference. From a pure power rating standpoint, a lot of the ones I'm looking at have Penn State favored by 17, 18 points here. Some of the public ones out there. My power ratings have Penn State favored by 11.5 points. If you look at Sagarin, which is a very, very well-respected one, we'll do that right now. It has Penn State by 15 on a neutral field and 18 at home. So there's your answer. There's a ton of public money on Penn State, which is a little worrisome, of course, but I guess it's a stay away from me because I'm giving Michigan State more credit than a lot of other people. And Penn State slightly less, but I tell you, is Penn State going to get up for this game now that they lost? They had a bye week. Is Michigan State going to get up for this game because they lost? Were they looking ahead to Penn State? Will we see a terrible first 3 quarters in Penn State like they played when they played Appalachian State, when they played at Illinois? A horrible first 3 quarters? I don't know. There's too many unknowns for this game for me to bet it. My best bet for this one might be a look at the over. It's kind of low from what I think I saw before, and I can pull those numbers up. Yes, the over got hammered down from 58 to 53 when it opened. I think it's a little bit of an overcorrection personally. So I would lean to the over. I think Penn State put up some points. It's going to cause Michigan State to get one-dimensional and have to try to put up some points as well. So, that's the only way I would lean. But it's not a big lean whatsoever. I hate going against the sharper money. So, a 5-point correction there within the 50 points is pretty big. But, that's my opinion on that game. It's probably a stay away for me. I'm going to get into Tennessee versus Auburn. Auburn's laying about 16 right now, 15 or 16, or 17 I think is where I first hit it. But if you look at why Mississippi State beat this Auburn team, it had a lot more to do with than actually passing the ball. Nick Fitzgerald had 195 rushing yards, their quarterback. Mississippi State's quarterback, okay? Almost 200 yards. He wasn't properly contained. He was able to, do some options and just completely take off running. It was a terrible game plan. Coming into this game, I don't know. I don't know what Gus Malzahn was thinking there. But either way, they couldn't stop him. And I do respect Auburn's offensive line or defensive line, not offensive line. I respect their defense a lot. But Fitzgerald was also motivated. He was breaking Tim Tebow's quarterback rushing record, I believe. So that was one key thing right there. I think that Tennessee's offense is much different than the Bulldogs, and it's going to be a lot easier to handle for Auburn, okay? If you look at Auburn, they should be extremely motivated this game now for that terrible loss. Auburn averages 5.4 yards per play, even with Jared Stidham's regression. He hasn't been as good this year. His O-line hasn't been as good. But the Vols defense is one of the worst in the SEC. They give up 6.5 yards per play to conference opponents, while Auburn gives up 4.88 yards to conference opponents. That's like a 1.7, 1.62 difference. Okay? That's a lot in yards per play from the Vols defense to what the Auburn can do on defense. And I think this is a get-up game for Auburn, you know. If you look at Tennessee, you know, their schedule wasn't easy, but a couple easy games they got to pad their stats. UTEP was one of the worst in East Tennessee State's not even a Division I school, and one of the worst in the FCS as well. So when they played Georgia, they lost by 26. When they played Florida, they lost by 26. When they played West Virginia, they lost by 14 of 40, 26 points again. Okay? So you can tell that the fact that they're losing every single game when they play a ranked opponent by 26, I think this Auburn line's a little short here. So definitely liking the Tigers at minus 17. They're going to get up here for this game. Tennessee's one of the worst in the SEC. Central Florida versus Memphis plus 4.5 is what Memphis is giving them. When was the last time that Central Florida didn't outscore their opponents by a touchdown? Little trivia question for you guys. Well, I'll tell you. It was December of 2016. That's how long it's been since they lost a game, as well as didn't outscore their opponents by 7 points. How can you not lay less than a touchdown against any American Athletic Conference opponent with this team? Memphis hasn't even played anybody with a pulse yet. Their schedule ranks the lowest in FBS, according to Sagarin, at 157th. You know, this means that many FCS teams have already had a harder schedule than them. Now, Central Florida also had a pretty easy road. They haven't played a ranked team, but at least they get to play Pittsburgh and Florida Atlantic and blow the doors out of them. Okay. Very high-powered offenses. Over-under when it shot up to 81 pretty quick, right? The key here for me is that Memphis has a new quarterback this year, okay? Brady White, who lost to Navy and Tulane this year. They already have 2 losses, and who hasn't even faced a top 85 team. While the quarterback that, you know, Central Florida had last year when they beat Memphis in overtime and beat them during the regular season, Mackenzie Milton, beat teams like Auburn and, like I said, FIU and Pitt, right? Mackenzie Milton is battle-tested. Brady White isn't. As a matter of fact, I think Riley Ferguson last year was the more comparable quarterback, the better quarterback. You know, too much unknown with Brady White here. They haven't played anybody. But my pure power ratings has this game, Central Florida, by about 8 points here. I think even that's a little bit low. You know, I have no problem laying the road points, jumping on the public side here and taking Central Florida at Memphis here. It's probably their hardest game on the schedule, but it's left on the schedule, but it's the team that they've circled. You know, they've circled this team and they're ready to go and obviously prove everybody that they are still going to be undefeated and very questioned when it comes to college football playoffs once again. So they'll create a little bit of drama for everybody. Now, of course, we know that they didn't schedule anybody because Pittsburgh wasn't that good, and they didn't get to play North Carolina because that game canceled. I don't think North Carolina is all that good this year either. Not sure if that would have been enough, but unfortunately for them, they might go 2 years in a row undefeated without a chance. So they know that they have to blow out some teams. I'm loving Central Florida, and how